Okay, I'll check it out when I get a chance. Anyway, as you might have noticed, I've been kind of slow on the gameplay videos lately. I know I'm getting back to them, but I'm still kind of slow on it because my the regular recorder I use has been, what's the term I'm looking for? I record it, and then when I go to stop the record, all of a sudden the whole program freezes up and says, not what's the term I'm thinking of? Anyway, it says something like in the likes of not responding. That's it says it's not responding. So it freezes up, and then when I get to trying to put the game up, you know, it finally does get come back, but then it's like the sections of the video are missing, or it's completely out of sync. It's a jabbered mess through the whole thing. Sorry if I'm stuttering a lot right now. I just got into an argument with my dad, so and it usually takes me a while to mellow out afterwards. So I'm a little right now. Anyway, um, well, this is just a couple of them. These were stuff that I was using for our campaign. Um, Actually, this is like what was it, 3.5, I think. No, third edition. One of these little flyers you could find at some of the stores back in the day for D20 systems. This was for like $2.49. This little pamphlet here. I'm not even going to get into that. But yeah, there was like a series of these you could get. I don't know if they exist anymore because I haven't seen them in a while at the store. But yeah, it was like these little quick little things, and it was kind of like what I was getting in my box deliveries for Dungeon Crate. It was kind of like that, only they had little booklets like this throughout the whole thing. And by the way, I was using a lot of the Dungeon Crate stuff in my campaigns. I would just have to figure out how to do them. So, yeah, here you go. It has a little map right there. And this one, I think I paid. Yeah, I only paid $2. Unfortunately, this was fourth edition, so I had to do a lot of retooling. You can actually find spots on the internet to retool fourth edition into fifth edition or third edition. It's just half the time I forget where they're at, so it takes me a little while. If you're wondering why I'm looking up, it's because the monitor is up there that has the picture of everything that's going on, and I'm reading you guys up there. So yeah, the monitor's down below the camera's down below the monitor. So that's why I'm not looking directly at the camera. But anyways, and then I got this one. I got it over at a Hobby Lobby, or Hobby, no Hobby Town. Hobby Town is where I got it. Hobby Lobby is a completely different ballpark, and I only go in there for do I buy treasure chests and stuff. But yeah, here we go. Mists of Madness. Actually used this for one of the startups for this. I think this was for the second campaign we did. So we'll get into those when I start getting into the campaign. I'm still working on finding pictures for a ashen-skinned female tiefling. Excuse me, tiefling. I was corrected the other day to pronounce it tiefling by a relative, which was not CJ. That's kind of embarrassing. Losing an argument against yourself. course, I don't think I have. I don't think I can complain about it because I do the same thing. I lose. I get in fights with myself all the time and lose. Anyway, so yeah, we did my first visit to a store, and they were very accommodating, very helpful. I would have done some shots of the tables, but unfortunately, there was a lot of underage kids there, and I did not want to step on any toes. So I decided against that, but instead, I got everything around it, and that was I thought it was a pretty good video all the same. There is another store I was going to try. Two other stores I was going to try to. One called Legends Comics and Games, and the other one is a place called Crazy Squirrel, and that's where I got a lot of my D&D stuff back in the day. I got hiccups. Yeah, always the hiccups. So what ended up happening was Crazy Squirrel. They had a lot of events happening, so they couldn't schedule me in to come in and do a thing for their store. And I haven't gotten back with Legends just yet. So I'm gonna try again. Say about a month. Uh, camera in my face. Oh, are you talking about the video at the beginning where I wasn't even looking at the camera because I was looking on the wrong side? Yeah. Now, for some reason, I had it flipped around and I had the camera by this hand. I usually have it by this hand. And so when I'm looking at it, I'm looking at it like this, and the camera's over here. And of course, it was so bright outside, I couldn't really tell anything apart. Uh, but I think I'm going to be sticking with Twitch streams and transferring them to YouTube videos for a while until I can figure out what's going on with the Filmora. Because it's been acting up like crazy. It's like I haven't been able to do the second video for Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance 2 because it keeps crashing. The recorder keeps crashing. And I've been able to do editing on it just fine. It's just recording that's been the problem. QWMXW2XRWM2D. Okay, I'll remember that. Let me write that down. Didn't even notice that when I got started today. Yeah, I'm not going to do very much in the line of videos for Idle because, well, like I said, I feel like I'm not doing very much in the game. So it's just click, 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 click. Yeah, it just came on last night. It's only about a 7-minute video. The idea is they even said it for me that they made their store because there isn't that much in the line of a community for gamers around here in Fresno. I mean, there are gamers around here, but the best places they can go to is Crazy Squirrel, which hardly anybody knows it's there, or going to a Barnes and Noble when you have to order stuff from them, or you go on the internet. Yeah, so yeah, I don't see myself making very many videos of it. I did like one or two, and for my Friday Night Randomness, which I don't think I'm going to be doing very much in the line of Friday Night Randomness videos anymore unless I come up with something where I can just throw something in that's not of the norm for the channel. So, and then uh, Well, I got into a bit of a. I'm still coming down from that scuffle with my dad. Anyways, there was a lot of nice stuff they had there over at that store. They had there was a couple things I neglected to capture on there. They had a lot of world maps on one wall, which was on the other side of where the players were, so I wasn't able to get a picture of that. Well, for my channel, Norm is usually my CRPG games and stuff, and um, something that usually doesn't belong into a series or something that's like a one shot or a. It's too small to make a video of itself, so yeah. Like what I did with the arcade RPGs I came across, I was using those for Friday Night Randomness along with other things I throw in just for fun. And I may just remove Friday Night Randomness and take out the arcade things and just make them their own thing. I might play them all over again just to have them on the channel by themselves. And it's just a matter of when I'm going to do that. It's also been extremely hot here in Fresno, so which is above normal temperatures. Usually, it doesn't go over 105, and it's been almost about 110 and over on some occasions. And this is in the evening. But did you see the videos where I did reactions to someone using an AI generator to do Baldur's Gate 1950s style? Um, the one that got me though, and I didn't play that one because I had already watched it. Was there was one of Conan the Barbarian, and I thought it was pretty good. But the one I'm trying to remember which one it was. Yeah, the D&D cartoon one, of which I did show on there, and they described Eric as brave and true, and I'm just sitting there going like, on the occasions he's not being sneaky, he's not lying, and he's not being a complete coward. Yeah, sure. Oh yeah. Um, I'm probably not going to do those very often. It's just whenever I come across one, I'll do a video, but I'm not going to go out of my way to find them. So I know, right? They aged. Um, yeah, Bobby was like, well, you saw I did both. I did I watched two different versions. One, Bobby is like barely a toddler, and the other one was Bobby, and he's like a 25-year-old man. They did Bobby wrong. Well, I have to admit, though, I think the cartoon was the one that really wanted me to play Dungeons and Dragons to begin with, and that was back in '84. Of course, there was also the cartoon commercials, if you remember those. I had them on my channel for the longest time until when I wanted to get monetized, they wouldn't, because those commercials were the most popular things on my channel. Yeah, the one 1980, I think it was 81, 82 commercial alone was the one that got me in the 3000s. And because it was something I didn't make or modify for my channel, it was just the commercial straight. They said, nope, we can't monetize you because of that. So you're going to have to try again. Sorry. Better luck next time. So I removed the video, and then all of a sudden all my views dropped. And okay, I'll look at those later. Oh, yeah. The Dungeon Master. Jeez. I'm trying to remember. And then they didn't even have a voice that matched. It was like it was this tall, scrawny looking guy. And then, and that was in the color one. And the black and white one, it was the guy almost looked like an orc from World of Warcraft without the tusks. But oh, we lost a viewer, I think. Oh well. At least you're here to keep me company until you decide I'm too boring for you. But there isn't a anime convention I'll be going to Saturday, or not this Saturday. I'm at September. This Saturday, I got a guy coming over to look at our roof. Remember when my roof collapsed? Finally getting insurance to come look at it. I think they came out about the same time. No. Yoda was first. In fact, I remember there was kind of like these critters that were kind of like Ewoks in one episode. Called gem bears or something like that, ruby bears or something like that. It was something stupid like that. And they even lived in trees. I think that was like in the second or third season. I think it was the episode where Hank was apparently a traitor. It's supposed to go in here. And yeah, the first Hank, I would say that Hank was the most 50s looking character I'd ever seen in my life. I mean, you couldn't get more 50s the way he looked. And then but yeah, the whole thing, I thought they were funny. And then I don't know if you notice it in the first Baldur's Gate 1950 style that they did, but the first time they show Boo, half his face is like like this part up here is missing on his face for like a fraction of a second. And I don't know if you hear me or not. I think I'm barely heard on it where I say, "What the hell they do to Boo?" Because it's like half his face was gone. Well, that's done. And then a little bit later, they did a little bit better job with a different picture. And then in the sequel uh, trailer, they actually give Boo the full description of the um, what was it, miniature giant space hamster. But no, Yoda in a way, like yeah, he's kind of a short version. He's kind of a short little guy, but he didn't speak in riddles. He usually spoke. Well, he did speak in riddles, but he didn't speak backwards like Yoda did. I got the DVDs here around somewhere. I think I was watching them a couple days ago. I say I think because I fell asleep in the middle of watching them. I watched them so many times. When I was homeless, that was one of the DVDs. That was one of the DVDs I kept was that, and whenever I had a place where I could have a DVD player and a TV plugged in, I would watch them that way. And who is you? But yeah, I'm trying to get. If others pop up on my homepage when I turn on YouTube, and I might do one or two more. I don't know because they don't pop up very often. I was kind of surprised to see the Baldur's Gate show up on my channel because usually don't watch AI stuff. I think I watched one AI before that. Yeah, it was the Conan the Barbarian one, which I always get upset at the fact that the version they use is always the movie one when they're describing Robert E. Howard's creation or something like that. The movies are not his creation, though. Those were inspired by his creation, but because yeah, in the books they never describe Conan as being a slave, and the one time he was a slave, he was already an adult and he was already working on an escape. Oh yeah, in name only. And well, the version they use is usually the comic book version, which I think is the most available to people. And that was the one where they pretty much started adding like a backstory to Conan because in the books, Conan is just a Sumerian, he's a barbarian, and he's wandering around. And I mean wandering around. It's like he's just he hears oh, there's a treasure over in this area. He goes over there. He's your basic D&D character. He goes, oh, there's a treasure to be found over there. Okay, I'll head over there and check it out. Like one of the earliest stories, I think it's called the Tower of the Elephant. He just overhears a conversation about someplace while he's at a tavern. He goes, "Oh, there's a gem of high value and it's magical, and there's uh, uh, some sort of strange creature inside. I want to go check this out." So he goes off and does it. So yeah, it's like so a lot of the times it's like he'll just like overhear a conversation, goes, "Oh, I guess I'll go check it out." God, it's only been 25 minutes. Why does it feel longer? Exactly. He's just there. Yeah, the most, like I said, the most description they get you give of his past is that he was a barbarian, he was a Sumerian, and he's here. And there's the prospect of him being a king one day by his own hand, and that was about it. They do mention that part on a few occasions that he has a future in being a king one day. Because the very first story that was written of him, he was already a king by about a month. It was called The Phoenix and the Sword, which was, if you've seen Kull the Conqueror, it's basically the same plot. It's all the nobles are trying to get rid of him, so they go and find a means to an end. And the funny thing is there's a recurring villain in the Conan stories. He periodically shows up. I'm trying to think of Thothamon, I think it was, or Tothamon, which he was in Conan the Destroyer as that ape guy thing. But the thing is, that was the main his main antagonist in the stories, because I think he's in a few of them. He's not just like you know, but he. And the funny thing was, is in the stories that were written, they never crossed paths. They never actually. I don't. I mean, they cross paths, but they never are like in the same room together. They never ever actually meet. It's like some Stygian wizard, as they describe. He was a Stygian wizard, and he was a worshiper of Set and all this other stuff. Which I think that's what they were trying to do with Thulsa Doom, but instead of Thulsa Doom, that should have been Thothamon, because Thulsa Doom is actually a Kull villain, and he was a lich. So they got it all screwed up in the movies. Uh, anyway, I got like one more character profile to do before I start doing the stories on the actual campaign that I was talking about. So once I get this last one done, and the only reason like I said, the only reason I'm having a hard time with it is yeah, the only reason I'm having a hard time is just finding uh, appropriate images of the character, because the way the player described her, she was a ashen skinned uh, tiefling warlock, of course, but was neutral good. She was either neutral good or lawful good. I can't remember at the moment. I gotta go look up the pages again. But like I said, they had my players. They had full details on the characters that they created, and I couldn't have been happier having such a group. And we were able to play three campaigns before the pandemic. Piece of rock on the ground. But yeah, we got some of this stuff here. I got some. But yeah, these are some of the stuff I used for the campaign where I basically reworked and homebrewed everything. So, uh, but right now we got. Like I said, these are fictitious names for the players, so they wanted their privacy. They didn't want to be on the internet. They didn't want their names on the internet. But we got Andre, who's playing Regnad Broken Tusk, a half orc fighter. I could have sworn he played a barbarian, but accordingly to the player sheet, he's a fighter. We had Brittany, who played Mariel Mouse Bracegirdle, who, of course, is a halfling rogue. Stephen played Oren Grayson, who was a human. Excuse me. Excuse me again. Oren Grayson, who was a human ranger, and somehow he was able to play that ranger perfectly without any problems. Everybody keeps saying that for some reason fifth edition rangers just suck, but he seemed to do pretty good with it. And finally, we have Sabrina playing Enna, who was the tiefling, and Oren had a companion slash steed, which was a dire wolf named Saber. And we got let's see, a few other characters on here that I'm not going to do theirs just yet until the time that their part in the campaign shows up. So because they show up a little bit later. I think I mentioned a lot of this the last time we did this streams, but just wanted to refresh everybody's memory on it. Let's see here. I'm trying to find a particular file on the characters. I put them somewhere here and I can't seem to locate them. All right, let me try here maybe. No, that's the recipe for hot fudge sauce. Oh, well, it'll have to be a goose. Fat and ugly. Oh, good. Finally, they got some pictures of ashen skin tieflings. Okay. Hold on to that page for later. Anyway. Anyway, back to the characters themselves. Since I'm not going to be getting to the story for a while, but I do like to share ahead of time. I don't particularly care if anybody goes spoilers. Anyways, there's going to be a warforged monk named Gears, and you're gonna love this, a gold scaled kobold named Pyrite, and they're going to be joining in very shortly, like in a couple of sessions they joined in. And I actually like the backstory that the two, because the two of them actually work their backstory together. So that's going to be fun putting them two in. And then you got I think I told you about it, that we have uh, if you've seen the movie Lady Hawk, I hope. Hmm. Give me just a second. I need to get a refill. Lady Hawk with Rutger Hauer, Michelle Pfeiffer, and oh, who's that? Who is that shit from War Games? Matthew Broderick. Interesting movie, if you haven't. Oh well, two of the players. Well, actually, it was spoiler alert. One of the characters that's in the current party, her player character dies, and when she decided to bring in a new character, when she decided she was going to bring in a new character, she brought her boyfriend in too, and they came on as Navarre and Isabeau. But they did a little role reversal here, since neither one of them turns into a wolf. Well, one of them might be able to turn into a wolf. I don't remember. I got to get back to that point. But anyways, Navarre is a druid, and Isabeau is a paladin. But they wanted to use the names. They wanted to use the names and then do a reversal on it. So she's the big heroic one, and he's the femme fatale, not the femme fatale, but the damsel in distress. And they kind of played it like that too. It's kind of funny. That he was more like he really wasn't into fighting and stuff like that, but he was always getting caught in trouble and hiding from the enemy and stuff and turning into birds to fly away. And Isabeau, on the other hand, was doing all the fighting. And if I remember, actually did have the double action crossbow, because she really wanted that. She really wanted the double action crossbow. But yeah, the movie Lady Hawk. Getting to the movie though, that is actually one of my favorites. I I cannot watch that movie without crying at that one scene. And you know what scene I'm talking about? It's the one where everybody cries. In the movie they're crying, but it's like it tears me up too when they get to it. That one moment. When they get to the end, yeah, you're supposed to cry too because you're supposed to be happy, but not so much. Because it's like that one scene where they're sitting, they're right next to each other, and it's just become dawn, and he's just starting to turn back into a human, and she's still in human form, and they're just about to touch, and then she turns into a bird or into a hawk and flies away. And Matthew Broderick's sitting there watching the whole thing, just bawling, just sitting there going like, "Yeah, I'm doing the same thing too." Uh, oh, well, I'm gonna get a refill real quick. I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. And just warn anybody that does show up that I'll be right back. Mm-hmm. I wish I had wine. I had wine earlier. Um, University of Fresno College had their own particular brand for sale, and I had a couple bottles. Unfortunately, I drank them all. Very good wine, though. I'm not a very big wine connoisseur, though, but I'll tell you one thing, though. Half a bottle of that, and you're seeing vapor trails. It was red. I couldn't tell you the difference between sweet and I didn't even know there was such thing as sweet and sour wine, but it was kind of a sweet wine. Oh, I'll tell you one thing though. They only release it about once a year. So when it comes out and it's over at Costco, I picked me up a couple of bottles for $10, and then I drank one bottle on my birthday, and then drank another one on the anniversary of the channel. Okay, I think I can fill that mostly. My drink of choice usually is rum and cherry Coke. Anyway, as I was saying though, originally before I left the scene for the drive-through snack bar. What gets me though is when you watch like those Viking movies or anything like that, or chivalry movies where they're all drinking wine and something like that. They're drinking it like it's water. I'm sitting there going like, I can't do that with wine. But yeah, it's like I'll be watching these movies where people are drinking this stuff and they're drinking alcohol like it's water. And I'm just sitting there going, I can't do that. I used to drink a lot vodka and orange juice a lot of the time. Oh, I think someone wants in. Hold on. Miley was knocking on the door. She walked away to go to the cat box. Anyway, so just enough for her to get in. Now she's in now. Hi. Everything okay? Hi. But anyway, back to the campaign stuff. Um, when it came to actual gameplay and stuff, and you'll probably notice it because I'm not going to go into very much in the line of mechanics when it comes to telling the campaign stories. Like when they get into battles and stuff, I'm not going to go into the dice rolls because nobody kept records of those. It's just who beat what and what they used. Yeah. She has a habit of she picks new locations where she wants to hang out, and it could go anywhere from a couple of months to maybe a couple of days, or reverse that, from a couple of days to to a couple of months where she decides she's going to be. Like she'll go, oh, I'm going to lay down on the bathroom floor over here, and that's going to be my bed for a while. Or she'll go into my dad's room and find a spot on his bed and go, okay, this is going to be my spot for a while. Or she'll find a place, it's like she changes locations. Like she goes, okay, I need a new bit of scenery. And there was a time she wasn't even coming in here for about a month. She didn't come in here for, oh yeah, exactly a month. She didn't come in, but she would go. But she was staying in Dad's room, and he has his own. He has a shower room in his room. So she was hanging out in there, sleeping on the toilet lid, and the toilet in there doesn't work. It's shut off because neither one of us can use it. Really, we're too big for it. Because when my grandparents built this place, they didn't exactly build it to uh, modern standards. This was built back in the 50s. Mine doesn't follow me into the bathroom to jump into the tub. She jumps into my underwear. Yeah, my pants are down by my ankles, and she climbs into them and goes to sleep. You do. Don't you argue with me. You know it's true. Yeah. Yeah, but if you're like my dad and you're 6 foot something, your kneecaps are going to be banging on the cabinet just about not even a foot away from the toilet in front of them. So, yeah, we just use the shower in there because that's really the only room you got in there. Yeah. But yeah, that's the spot she's been hanging out with for last couple of weeks. She'll go in there and bug dad for a little bit, then she'll go over to the bathroom and lay down on the floor or on the toilet seat. Well, not the seat, the lid, the toilet lid. Yeah. All right. She got what she wanted out of me. She left. She wanted my attention for a little bit. She got it. Now she feels better. She can go about her business. Anyway, back to the campaign setting. I mentioned and one of I don't think I have the video up anymore. I think I removed it. But the setting was kind of like a post-apocalyptic world of sports. Yeah, I agree. It was kind of post-apocalyptic, kind of a little bit of Thundar the Barbarian, a little bit of Ralph Bakshi's Wizards, the D&D cartoon, of course, and a few other things. Just slapped in there, threw it into a blender, and hit frappe. So it gave me the excuse to just come up with whatever I wanted to, if I needed, if I needed a situation for the game. So there's quite a bit of steampunk in it, but so I had to, but I still had to figure out ways to like explain how the gods work into it. So I said, well, because initially it was supposed to be Earth, but then I go, yeah, but then you got like all the deities and stuff that everybody's working with. So well, it's like Earth, but somewhere else. But the main headaches for everybody are liches, mummies, and vampires, and the occasional dragon, of course. But yeah, the campaign starts with initially the 5 characters, which is Enna, Mouse, Orin, Regnet, and Saber, the companion animal. I counted him as a character. And then you get the addition of Gears and Pyrite. And then one of the female characters, either Enna or Mouse, I'm not going to say which one just yet until we get to that part of the story, uh, gets replaced with Isabeau. And we get the inclusion of Navarre and another one named Bramwin Hammerhand, who is a cleric dwarf, a dwarf cleric, excuse me. And he was like, I think he was joined in like way, way, way late into the campaign. And then everybody started sending me their stuff on the second campaign. So I got to make sure which one's which when I get started on bringing stuff up on that. I told them not to do that, but they did it anyway. They started bringing me everything on their second campaign stuff. So, with a second campaign, it's basically the same world, because everybody enjoyed that one. It was just they wanted to continue from that one, just on a different part of it. So, and that one had, I think, the little bit more steady of a party. Because it started off with 6, and I think it was the same 6 by the end. No, excuse me, it was 7. There were 7 in that party. And then third campaign, there was a total of I don't remember. God, that was like 8 total, and the majority of them were female players. So of course we had a lot of female player characters as well. So the guys were outmatched. So anyway, over the week I got to try something out of this. Where is it? Otik skillet fried spiced potatoes. That's what I made the other day. Oh my god, those are good. Reading about them in Dragonlance and hearing that they were his world famous skillet fried spiced potatoes. You know, and then you actually get to try them yourself. Yeah, I'm salivating right now just talking about it. They were good. The only reason I got to make them was because I was visiting a friend over the weekend, last weekend, and he offered up his stove and oven so I could try them out. Yeah, they were they. I think that was where we had an incident where one of the guys was talking about, "Oh, let a man do it." Yeah, and the thing was, is there was a barbarian in the group that she handed his. Well, she handed it to him in a handbasket made out of his hair. But if I remember correctly, the third campaign was uh, the first two they did, fairly seriously, you know, with a little bit of comedy here and there just to lighten up the mood. And I think the third one, they just decided to go straight for the comedy on that one. They just all decided to be goofballs that one. Um, One of them gets turned into a pig while they're all. It's a situation where basically they're all starving, and one went off to go do something, and then all of a sudden there's a pig there, and they're trying to kill it. And what it was one of them got turned into a pig, and they didn't know it, so they're trying to kill him because they want to eat him. And then when he gets turned back to human, he's pissed. He's like, "You tried to eat me, you assholes!" He's like, so yeah, they were just going for straight comedy on the third campaign. First campaign, I need to focus on that one, so I'm not going to go too into detail on the other ones. So, first camp, yeah, I know you're like, minding your own business. Next thing you know, you're a edible animal. Anyway, games I'm still going to continue playing, and for right now, it's over on this page, I think. Uh, I'm going to see how Knights of the Chalice plays on stream. I don't know how it's going to play, so we're going to find out. And if it runs okay on stream, I'm going to continue playing it on that. I'm not sure how remastered Wasteland's going to play because I haven't even started it yet, but it's on my list. Wizardry, Bane of the Cosmic Forge. There's no problems there. All the gold box games, there's no issues. The Baldur's Gate games, I have run into a couple problems. For some reason, my give me a minute. Keep burping and hiccuping. So the emulator um, for some of the console games I've been playing on the channel have when I do a live stream of them, the soundtracks have been completely when it comes to. I mean, you hear me fine, but the game itself is just it's very staticky and grindy. You know, like making a bunch of racket instead of the sound effects like it's supposed to. But I'll still play them. I'll just have to turn the volume down a little bit on some of them. It's not like you're missing anything. It's old Nintendo sounds from the '80s. So no, it's not that. When I get to talking a lot, I suck in a lot of air, so I start burping and hiccuping a lot of the time. I'm like this in regular conversation, so it's like when I'm doing streams or I'm doing recordings where I have to talk a lot. I get a lot of air in my stuck in my pipe, so that's why I have this here. But then I turn around and burp afterwards, so I can't win. Uh, so I don't know how Legends of Amberland's going to be on the. Actually, I don't even think I've tried that as a stream. I might give that a shot. So yeah, three I might test out. Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance 2. I don't know if how it will play either. I'll give that a shot, but if it doesn't play it, I won't. I'll just I don't know. But yeah, I'll try them all out as live streams when I get a chance. But whether or not I put them on YouTube just depends on the performance. Cat hair. Yeah. So. Oh, I got a new T-shirt coming into me. It's a came across it on Facebook. It's a the Scooby Doo gang dressed up as D&D characters. I think except for Scooby. Scooby's Scooby Doo, Scooby Doo, but everybody else is like a ranger, or a fighter, and I think Daphne is the thief. Uh, Shaggy's a fighter. Uh, Velma's a magic user. Sometime thinking a wizard. I forgot what Fred was. Let me see if I can get the picture so I can tell you better. Blink, blink. Nope, wrong one. Okay, there we go. Okay, I'm thinking Fred's supposed to be a paladin. Daphne's a ranger because they show her with a bow. Velma's a wizard because they got her with the hat, the pointy hat, and a spell book in her hand. Um, and then they got and they got Shaggy with like a sword. So I guess he's a fighter. I guess he's the fighter. So Fred's a paladin. Velma's the magic user of some sort, probably a wizard, and Daphne's the ranger. And of course, Scooby Doo is Scooby Doo. And the shirt says Dungeons and Mysteries. So I'll do a unboxing when that shirt shows up. That's going to be a really short unboxing too, because it's probably only going to be like about 60 seconds. And apparently it just got shipped, so I should be seeing it probably within the week. All right. Actually, our mail service around here is I've ordered things and I've gotten things as early as well, with eBay it's kind of weird because I've gotten things like within a couple of days after ordering it. So yeah, it's basically a grab bag on what happens. So I think I just heard my name called. Be right back. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I have had it done by mail, but this isn't being shipped by eBay. This is actually direct from the company. This shirt, but yeah, I've gotten like a good amount of the miniatures I got back here. I got off of eBay because usually what had happened was is the players would want specific miniatures. We'd actually go through like websites and stuff and look for particular miniatures, and they would find what they would want, and they would either pay me to order them or they would order them themselves. So whatever the price was, they'd give me the money, and I'd go and order it on eBay, and like within, I think like I said, the earliest one I got was a miniature, and I got it like within a couple of days. And I'm probably going to cut this short in about a half hour because I promised my dad dessert tonight, and he's wanting a lemon meringue pie. But yeah, I put like a notice earlier in the week, and then I put another one this morning, and apparently only one person shows up. The most important person to this channel, JP. Please tell me that was the appropriate amount of ass kissing you were expecting. Yeah, I don't like lemon meringue pies. He loves them. He's also the only person I know of that likes fruitcake. Oh. Every Christmas he has to have a fruitcake, and I can't stand fruitcake. It hurts my teeth. You know. Yeah, I may have piled it on a little thick there. Um, is that a trick question? But yeah, he every year it's fruitcake and for Christmas, and I swear I don't see what he enjoyed. Well, it used to be when I was a kid, we had a next door neighbor that would make it. You know, she would make the fruitcake herself in her home, and would bring him one on Christmas. And she's that woman's our neighbor. She's passed along since. So from what I do know, he he's only found one other place that makes it just as good, and you're going to find this funny. It's Costco, but apparently they discontinued it. So last 2 years they never had fruitcake, so he ended up having to get them somewhere else, and he doesn't like them. The last two places he's tried them, he didn't like them. But for me, it used to be my annual thing that I had to get was a Shamrock milkshake from McDonald's, which I haven't had in about 15 years because, their milkshake machine is never working. And I think I found one place one time where it was working, but it was like it was the worst. It was the worst Shamrock milkshake I ever had in my life. So I resorted to the next best thing. I just go over and I buy mint and chip ice cream at the store. It's not a milkshake, but it's just as good. In fact, I did that earlier this year. I went and bought me two canisters of mint and chip ice cream and watched really bad movies all night. Yeah, I don't mention it very often on my channel, but yeah, I like to watch old bad movies. Z grade and B grade. They could be the boring ones, they could be the funny ones, they could be the dumb ones, they could be the stupid ones. I'll watch them. Oh, my ex-wife, her big thing for the longest time was bacon, and she loved bacon. Every morning she would have bacon, but then she started having. But she ended up with a condition where she can no longer have pork products, and it was mainly due to the grease in it. So yeah, it had to do with her heart. But she said, if anything, if anything, if she was to have if she knew she was going to die, like within like the next day, and she said, my last meal would be an entire platter of bacon. Me, I just like food in general, but there are some foods I won't touch, like um, I'm trying to remember. There's a type of see, it's so bad I can't even remember the name of it. But yeah, there's very few foods I will avoid. There's a Japanese restaurant I like going to down the street over there when I have the money. I like going over there and having plates and plates of sushi. Uh, there's a there's a buffet around down the street here I like going to, and you're gonna love why. Even though it's a Mexican themed uh, restaurant, they have, of course, they have the fried chicken there, and that's like I can go with entire plates of nothing but fried chicken on it. So yeah, I I should have a gut that's going out to here, but because I love food. Uh, but I had a girlfriend at one time when I was at work, and she we watched the movie Clerks, and she heard the line by that Kevin Smith says about that there's a lot of beautiful women in the world, and very few of them will bring you lasagna for lunch. And I think she took that to heart because I think it was like a couple of days later. I was at work and she came by with a little uh, what do you call those little plastic boxes, and inside it was she made a homemade lasagna for me. Um, I've actually been figuring out the trips I wanted to take, and it has to do with you brought up KFC. I love KFC, I'll tell you, but a lot of the times I don't go to KFC because they charge so much for so little. But as I was saying though, I've been working out the trips. Originally, like I said, I was going to do like one big long trip. Oh, but yeah. So one of the places I'm planning on going to is Excalibur in Vegas. And the reason I'm going there is because when I went to, I left for the military when I was about 20, 21, somewhere around there. And I'd say the weekend before I left, we went to Vegas, and one of the places we went to was the Excalibur. And we spent several hours there. I didn't even gamble. I stayed down in the little arcade downstairs, and then we went to the what do you call it? They had the there was like a jousting show that they had, and we went to that and had they would give you uh, I'm trying to think of the hen, but they would give you like a hen, um, some bread, a little bit of soup, a couple of other things in there, and you ate it all with your hands. There was no utensils, and I remembered that, and I got a picture of me with my grandmother somewhere, and me with my head completely shaved because I was getting ready to go in the army, and I was so used to having long hair. I wanted to, you know, if I was going to have my head shaved, I was going to do it the first time myself. So I went like I went Demi Moore and just shaved my own head myself. So- but yeah, so we went there and watched the show. We ate the food, yelled huzzah when our guy won, and all I remember was that was the most '80s hair I've seen on people, and this was in the late '90s. And all the knights had like the most '80s long hair you ever saw. And I just remembered that, and I heard that the Mirage is getting ready to go down. It was like they just did like I think it just shut down recently, and they're getting ready to getting ready to implode it soon. Only thing I really remember that place was the volcano, which uh, they're going to tear that down too. And there's a resident duck there, or duck or goose that's there with a broken wing that's lived in that thing for a few years, and the entire town is worried about a fucking animal. Which good, they should be worried about the animal. They should, and they're trying to find a place they could take the bird, and the bird can be safe. But according to my dad, he said, yeah, if you have a duck that's used to being in one spot and then you take it somewhere else, it might not last very long. So there's that to take into account. So who knows the fate of this poor? I think the duck snake. They actually named the duck George or something like that. Never heard of Pizza Ranch. Are they any good? What we got around here is well, there's one place here that's kind of weird. It's called John's Incredible Pizza, and it's basically a giant pizza buffet with an arcade and several theaters to watch cartoons or sports or whatever. And the dining halls are all themed. Like they got a sports themed room. They got a cartoon themed room for when you have kids and stuff. You go in there. They got one that's just a straight little restaurant with nothing going on in it. And then you got the arcade on the other side of the buffet. And you're gonna find this weird if you've never heard of it. Their main shtick is the peanut butter pizza, and I think I tried it one time, and I thought it was the weirdest tasting pizza I ever had in my life. And what they do is they put pizza with the peanut butter on it, and then they put peanuts on it, and then they put the peanut shells on it. Of course, you take the peanut shells off before you eat it, of course, but I'm just sitting there going like, why are they putting the shells on there? People are just gonna pluck that off anyway. But they're back in business. I haven't been over there in years because last time I went, the girls were still little, so they appreciated the games back then. Now, but nowadays they're all in their 20s. I don't think they go to any of those anymore. I think the last place they go to is a place called Dave and Buster's, which I've been to a few times. I got a coffee cup with it on there somewhere, and yeah, they would go and I, in fact, there's a few times on my Facebook where I found out they've gone over there a few times with their boyfriends or family or whatever. I never get invited. Hmm. Oh, oh, those are Pizza Huts. Oh, this is all Midwestern. Okay. Well, when I'm in those general areas, I'll check those out. Definitely going to have to check that out. Oh, Free is a magic word. See. Yeah, I've been working on places I want to stop off at and stuff like that because I'm not going to be sitting in a vehicle the entire time on a trip to anywhere. I'm going to want to make pit stops. I'm deciding where I want to make those pit stops. But first trip, when I have the chance, I'm going to be taking 2 weeks off. If I have a job at that time, I'm going to be taking 2 weeks off. So it's going to probably be 2 years. I'm going to be heading over to Oregon. And on my way there, I'm stopping off at a place I hadn't been to since I was like 3 or 4, and that's a place called Trees of Mystery. And I barely remember anything of it other than there's a giant talking statue of Paul Bunyan and his blue ox Babe. And I remember it's not actually a talking statue. It's got a speaker on it, and it'll interact with people that ask it questions and stuff. There's someone inside that watching it on a camera, and and they can hear you, and vice versa. I know I just killed the magic, but yeah, I wanted to check that out again because I barely remember it. These are places I want to go to before I kick the bucket, kind of places. Another one is a place called the Enchanted King, not the Enchanted Kingdom, the Enchanted Forest, which is basically one guy made a theme park based on fairy tales, and it's basically goes up a hill, and they literally mean forest because you walk through a trail to get to everything. And there's 2 rides there. They got a like a kind of like a bobsled kind of ride, and they got a log ride. And there's one other thing I can't remember what it is though. But then this guy they got all the themes. They got a haunted house, that kind of stuff, and it's all hidden inside the trees. So I want to check that out. And if it's still there, I don't know because I keep finding information that's contrary to the situation. In Salem, Oregon, there's supposed to be or near Salem, Oregon, is supposed to be a Shakespearean theater. And I've been trying to find out information, and I found out very little about it. So I'm starting to be of the opinion it doesn't exist anymore, or if it does, it doesn't exist in the form my dad remembers. Because he was the one that was suggesting it to me. So I've been trying to look into it, but I've been finding very little information on it. Then on the way back, during those 2 weeks on the way back, I was going to be stopping at Excalibur because taking a detour out to out to Vegas from Oregon, and then come back home, and that was going to be that one trip. And then the following year, I was going to see about going to Texas to go to the largest Renaissance fair. But that's all. That's all. There's a situation happens recently where I've decided I might not want to go to Texas now. Instead, I might go to Georgia, to the town of what was it called? No, not Georgia. Geneva, Wisconsin, was it? Yeah, Lake Geneva in Wisconsin. The reason there is because there's a few museums dedicated to. Uh, there's several locations dedicated to Gary Gygax, and that's why I was going to head out there and check it out. and check out those museums, and um, and at some point maybe go to a Gen Con. Hmm. There's about three or four theaters all in the community. There's two or three outdoor ones, and one indoor one. But yeah, that's going to be the big trip. I might even just take a whole month off for that one if I'm going to four different places. But yeah, the Gen Con, I I might consider going to that one. I might even get past my fear of flying and go into a plane for the first time in 20 years. Actually, it's been a little bit more than 20 years. I think it's almost been 30 now. And the last time I was in a plane, it was to fly over to Fort Jackson for boot camp, and then the flight back home when I got booted out of boot camp. No, I didn't get in trouble. I had a nervous breakdown, and I'm not going to get into details. But yeah, that's when I've realized, I probably wouldn't have been able to handle the rest of being in the military if that was the case. And there was no wars or anything happening at the time. Yeah. Uh, it's just like when the only time I was in Texas, I was just going was the Dallas airport. I was passing from one plane to another. And I think I was in the airport for maybe an hour. But yeah, so like I said, these trips might be a while in coming. But they are on my mind. It's just a bucket list right now of places I want to go to. It might be where around the time I'm in my retirement when I finally go. Yeah, 80-year-old David riding a roller coaster. So yeah, so I got to figure out what's going on with the Wonder Sheriff Filmora because I've even gone through like walkthrough or not walkthroughs, but uh, you know what do they call them? They put me when I was in the plane. It wasn't like a jumbo jet or anything. It was a very small plane, and they put me. Yeah, I was put right next to the window, and this is me the entire time in the plane. I can actually do it. I'm like this the entire time, and this is me. And they had a movie playing, but this is me the entire flight. Yeah, uh, Surprisingly, there was hardly anybody on the plane. The only other person that was sitting next to me was the other guy going to Fort Jackson. We went, we were going from where from Sacramento all the way over to Texas, then all the way over to Fort Jackson. And when we got over to Fort Jackson, you may know exactly what I'm talking about here. When the recruiter tells you, what is done, what isn't done, what can be said to you, what can't be said to you, uh, just remember the recruiter is just there to get you to sign the papers and join. He's actually going to lie his ass off to you half the time to get you to sign those papers, to sign your life over. Because that's exactly what my recruiter did. He lied his ass off to get me to sign those papers. And when I was done signing those papers, and then I think it was like 2 or 3 days after I made it back to Fresno, uh, it was like my brain was still reacclimatizing to the hours because I was still used to East Coast hours. So my brain was still like, trying to catch up to being back on the west end of the states. And I'm asleep on the couch and I hear a doorbell, and I hear the doorbell and I kind of like, and it was blinders on the windows when at the other house it was blinders, so it's like I just kind of like nudged them open a little bit, looked out, saw it was the recruiter there, and then I just closed it. The girl turned over, went back to sleep. I didn't want to talk to him. Oh yeah. That was my big thing is okay. I have never left the mainland. Furthest I've ever gotten out of the country was Canada, and that was by motorhome. I've never been on a plane except for the military, and that was to get over to the East Coast for boot camp and back. I was on a single engine plane that didn't get very far off the ground. And that was, just for a air museum, which was in Oregon somewhere. And this was, I think I was about 17 or 18 at the time. And we were heading up north for a family reunion, so we stopped by at the air museum on the way. We stopped off and got. That was another thing what my family liked to do is like when if we were going on trips and stuff to like family reunions up in Washington, or we were going to the some biker rally like in Vegas or in South Dakota, somewhere around there. We'd it would always we'd make the trip long enough to where I could stop and see locate like museums, bookstores, and go sightseeing in whatever town we happen to pass by because I love that kind of stuff. I loved sightseeing and that kind of thing where it's like I don't get to see that kind of stuff at home. Now I get to see it up close and personal without having to you know get whatever. Anyway, so. But yeah, I like when I was younger. We did a lot of traveling, especially during the summer and winter vacations uh, time frame. And I would say we would go to. I remember our trips to Vegas would be a 4 day weekend, and usually it was during school time. So my parents would tell me, call the school and say that I wasn't going to be coming in for Friday and Monday. We would leave Friday morning, and you're going to love this. We were in a 1976 yellow Corvette. I'm asleep. There's no back seat. It's just like a little space in the back, right? And I'm curled up in the back. I'm like 9, 10 years old, curled up in the back with in a sleeping bag and sleeping in the back. My parents are in the front. They got Journey playing on the radio or something like that playing on the radio as we're driving along to wherever we're going. And we'd always stop off at the border. There's like a border town, and they had two casinos right on either side of the freeway. You had two casinos, and we would uh, I think it was Cactus Jacks or Cactus Kate or something like that. I can't remember the name of the casino, but they had like a roller coaster and stuff over there. But we'd stop there, have lunch. Of course, they'd go and gamble a little bit, and mom would escort me over to the arcade and give me like uh, a roll of a couple of rolls of quarters to spend at the arcade while they're while they're gambling, and then we go over to then we then they've had their fun. They come and get me. We go and leave, and we get to Vegas. Usually, my grandparents were already there. They'd been there for about a week or two. So we get up there, and it was usually either Stardust or Circus Circus. Stardust no longer exists, but it was usually Stardust where we stayed at. And Stardust, for those who don't know, was one of the casinos that um, the Tangiers was based on in the movie Casino. Oh yeah, but yeah. So and then we'd my grandfather would usually be the one hanging out with me, and we go up to Circus Circus. We'd watch the circus shows and do a few of the carnival games, and then once we were done with all that, he would we would just go over to the arcade, and he would sit over and have a cup of coffee, have a cup of coffee, and while he's having his cup of coffee, I'm over playing video games. And I remember they don't have it anymore, but when I was little, they had a. You remember the arcade game Star Wars? Where you're Luke Skywalker and the X-wing, and you're going through the Death Star and all that. And it was the colored lines. It wasn't like full graphics. It was just colored lines representing you being in the cockpit. Well, the version they had there. Well, you've seen those ones where it's like you sit in and you're like this playing. This seat here was the only one I knew of that did it, but the seat inside when you were doing this and this, the seat moved with you, so your seat's doing this. Yeah, wireframe. But yeah, the seat was moving with the game. So you're moving like this, you're moving forward, you move forward, you move. So yeah, that was the only one that did that, and it cost like $1 to play. But that was the only one that I knew of that had that kind of seat in it. And I thought that was so I thought that was so awesome because in Fresno, there was places in Fresno that had the had the sitting booth in it, but the seat didn't move. And then there was the standee, and that was it. And it was like, but they had that thing over there for years. I think it was there for at least 4 years in a row, and that was like the big seller right there because there was always a crowd for that one. And then when I went about, oh God, how long ago was that? I was either 16 or 17 the last time I was in Circus Circus. And I was there specifically for the arcades and stuff. And I remember going in there and they didn't have it anymore. And I was so upset because I hadn't been there in like 4 or 5 years. And then finally, I go, I got to go to Circus Circus, and I go in there. And I look for that machine. It's gone. It's been replaced with other things, and I was so upset. And I go, yeah, well, of course they won't have it anymore because all the graphics have been updated since then. So it's like everywhere I went, there was like, I think there was like at least 6 or 7 versions of Street Fighter everywhere. I could be exaggerating, but knowing Street Fighter, you had quite a few versions to pick through. But I think that was also the first time I saw a Dungeons and Dragons arcade game. Was that particular trip, and that was at the Excalibur, and that was the first one. But yeah, so they had they had the Dungeons and Dragons one there, and that was the first. Oh yeah, Gauntlet 2, Gauntlet 1. Um, at that time, I think it was Gauntlet Legends was what was or yeah, it was Gauntlet Legends is what was out at the time. Uh, Dark Legacy came out a little while later. There was one Gauntlet game that came out for the PS2, I think it was, and that was a piece of shit. Because most Gauntlet games I played is like you could spend hours playing that game and keep going and keep going. Even with Legends and Dark Legacy, they had you were playing that for a while. This one, it was like I think I had it beat in one sitting, and I couldn't believe how quickly I was done with that game. And I ended up taking it back within the week. I was like, yeah, I played it like 2 or 3 times. I was going through it, making sure like there wasn't anything I missed. But I was like, nope. It was like you had those 10 levels, and that was it. And I can't remember the name of that one. I was like, it was so. When the new one came out on Steam, and I played that one, that was more to the lines of a Gauntlet because you had the story, and that had like few levels in it. But it's like then you had the one where it's just level after level after level after level, no story arc, and I'm going like, I like this more than whatever the hell that was a few years ago. Uh, so Gauntlet 2, however, I already okay. Gauntlet 1, I do have some memories of that one. There was a few times where they used to have the motorcycle runs in Carson City, and the last time we went to one of those before they moved to Torino was there's this place called the nut. It's not the Golden Nugget. I think it's just called the Nugget. And if you're under 18, uh, they basically had an area where you went. It was basically like a preschool area for everyone from the age of 5 to 17, or maybe 19. But it was like a whole room, and they had a playground and all this other stuff, and it had all these video games in there. And I think the only one that was worth my time was the Gauntlet game. Oh, you had to switch gears on me. Well, let me finish my story, and then we'll get to that. Anyway, so they had Gauntlet, and I remember I just spent the entire time just playing that game because all the other games that were there were like Mister Do Returns and uh, well, the only other thing of any interest, and this was purely nostalgic for me, and that was you might know what I'm talking about, you might not. And a lot of the younger kids have no idea that these things even existed. There was these red booths, and in said red booths, you would stick a quarter in it, go inside and sit down, and it would play a cartoon. It would be Heckle and Jekyll or Mighty Mouse or something like that. It was usually some sort of old cartoon from Harmony, and but that was the one thing I do remember, that they still had that, even like in I was like 15 or 16, and they still had it there, because I'd been to that particular the Carson City runs quite a few times, and I just remember that was still there all those years. That booth was the only thing that was still there. I don't remember what those booths were called, but I just remember he had Heckle and Jekyll. It had, I think it was Baby Herman and Mighty Mouse and one other I can't think of. But it had four different cartoons, and it would play. You put a quarter in, it would play one of those cartoons randomly. Eh, But yeah, I can't think of the name of them. I'll look it up sometime, and next time I do one of these, I'll bring it up again, and I'll try to remember what they were called. But you're lucky if you find one of those nowadays. Okay, now to you, and then I'm probably going to go after we discuss this for a few minutes. Shifting gears on Dungeon Hack. I've made it to the bottom level 10, and it's crawling with greater fayers. Damn things keep phasing in and out of exit. Oh boy. Yeah, okay. So I gotta look out for that. All right. Well, I gotta remember. I gotta get back to that game. I might play a little bit of that tomorrow. Do a live stream on Twitch, and then put it up on the video for you guys on YouTube later that night. Pronounced fear. Okay, thank you for the correction, because I'm one of those people that if I'm mispronouncing it, it's because I read it. I never actually heard it pronounced. Sorry for bouncing this so much. It's the table. But yeah, I let me have a little tangent here. I'm one of those people that I read a lot of books. I read a lot of things, and I'll have people get on me for mispronouncing things. Well, here's the problem. I learned the word from reading it. I never actually heard it said aloud. So a lot of times, if a person has never heard it said aloud, they're not going to know how it's pronounced. For instance, if you have someone reading the Dune books and you never actually heard any of the rather outlandish words used in it pronounced out loud, same thing with Lord of the Rings. You read any of the names in there, you never heard it said out loud, and then you go and watch the movies. You're sitting there going like, I never would have imagined that's how it's pronounced. For instance, I never was able to pronounce Silmarillion for the longest time, because I didn't, I never heard it actually pronounced out loud till someone said it, and I was like, oh, is that how it's pronounced? Okay. So fayers are pronounced fear. Okay. Maybe you can help me with this one, because this has been a debate on my videos, with my own personal debate, because I've heard it pronounced two different ways. Is it tiefling or tiefling? And on that note, with then you got the tabaxi or tabashi or tabazi, because even the book says it doesn't matter which way it's pronounced. They pronounce it in all the versions. Every way it could be pronounced, that's how they pronounce it. But you don't get an actual definition of how to pronounce a tiefling or a tiefling. So I've heard, for the longest time, I was pronouncing it as tiefling, because I heard it pronounced as tiefling for a long time, and then people got, now I got people, fourth edition kind of brought them in as main characters. They're like a lighter version of a Fiend Touched. But yeah, fifth edition they're pretty pronounced there along with yeah. Fourth edition they did kind of like a little backstory thing because they were trying to bring in a new new setting, which I don't think they never actually named it. But the backstory for the fourth edition was that tieflings and dragonborns, which they had a dragonborn in the movie. It's that guy sitting at the table saying, but where we go, you're already pardoned." Yeah. I started with third edition, and I didn't play third edition for that long because fourth edition was already coming into play by the time I was actually playing third edition. Even though I had the third edition core books from from the day they were released, it was just I never got around to playing them because I couldn't find a group that played it. So yeah, it was fourth edition. I ended up playing the longest, and it was probably the hardest because it had a lot to do with uh, they were making it too much like a video game, as far as I was concerned, because they were putting more emphasis on less emphasis on the role play and more on the statistics. And then fifth edition, they tried to balance it out. It's more in the lines of third edition, but not quite. And now they're bringing in new, they're refurbishing everything again. But this version, I I don't really care for it, and I know I'm going to get a lot of flack for this. I don't really care for the fact that they're bringing up uh, gender as a major point. He, she, they, them crap. Because everybody thinks that's so important. It's only important to an individual, and as long as there's individuals that don't really care, so I'm one of them. I don't care. I mean, if I'm going to have a game and there's someone that wants to say, "Well, I'm going to be transgendered" or something like that, I'm like, whatever. It's not going to play very much into the game, but whatever. I think I only had one issue where someone was like had to make a big deal about it. Uh, anyway, I think I'm going to go ahead and get going. I made a few promises. I better go keep them. So, you guys take care. Thank you for watching. Whoever's been watching, because I know two people have popped up on viewership up there. So, uh, thank you for watching. Whoever you are, your viewership is very much appreciated. And I got to get going. And sorry for the bags under my eyes. I've been trying to acclimatize myself to sleeping at proper hours instead of being up all night. So you guys take care, and I'll see you guys in the next video or stream. Bye bye.